Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast and a game between NrSroof versus Adel here on Cloud Kingdom. We have the purple Zerg player spawning here on the top right hand side of the map. This is Sroof. I'll probably just try to refer to him as purple Zerg because I don't know how to say his name and I might actually be butchering it. He will be going up against Adel here on Cloud Kingdom. And Cloud Kingdom, one of those maps that has been around for quite some time now, as I am expecting at least 2 base play coming in from Adel, and we'll see whether or not the Zerg player tries to go for a fast 3 bases. Now, Zerg versus Protoss, it really feels like Zerg players in general are just trying to get to the late game. They are either trying to get to the late game, which is Infestor Broodlore, or they're trying to punish their opponent who is trying to expand too quickly. Now, Zerg players do have a number of options with, say, 2 base Roach timings or 2 base Roach all-ins, but it feels like Protoss players have been able to protect themselves fairly well. Now, what we're looking for from Adel is what he will be doing next. What is his next building? Is he going to go for a very, very greedy pylon first? No, or a nexus first? No, it is going to be a gateway here. So this may be your typical gateway, assimilator, pylon, cybernetics core build that was so common. Now, I am a bit surprised that Adel is not actually doing any sort of fast expansion attempt. Let's take a look at what Sroof is doing. Sroof, on the other hand, looks like he is going to be going for a fast hatchery, a 15 hatch in fact, and this means that he will have a very, very strong economic lead. One of the additional benefits is that he can train up 2 queens relatively early, and then by placing some evolution chambers here and having 2 queens on the low ground, should be able to fend off any sort of early zealot stalker pressure. We are seeing that second pylon being placed down relatively close by. I am a bit curious as to the building placement of Adel. And why is he building it off over here? I guess it does protect against any Zergling run-bys, but then again, the units still can make their way from the bottom. We are seeing a very greedy, very greedy 3rd base before spawning pool coming in from Sroof. And this is going to be perhaps a build order win coming in from Adel. If Adel, as long as he tries to place down some pressure, as long as he isn't going into, say, Phoenix play, and perhaps goes into the Zealot Immortal or Zealot Archon play, he should be in a very good position. The reason behind this is that Sroof or the Zerg player is not going to have that many units early on. Even though he will have an economic advantage, he has a lot more ground to try and defend. Even with creep spread amongst all the bases, without the Glio reconstitution, without the Zergling movement speed, it just simply takes too long to get where you need to go. Harvester count is now 22 compared to 19. As we now take a look, and Sroof is going to spot that there is no nexus down over here, and this has got to give him a little bit of concern. He's not sure if a 1 base all-in will be coming in at all, as Adel looks like he should be setting up that nexus here in just a moment. Now, Adel has not done any scouting as of yet. He's actually just now scouting, and this late scout may actually be a bit problematic for him, as he may not actually scout out the bases in time. 3 queens now being trained. I do expect more queens to be trained, as Sroof now going into that metabolic boost. What we may see is a queen laying down creep tumors here and here, hoping that it will actually connect these 3 bases with a small amount of creep tumors. A zealot now looking to make its way in. The Zerg player is sitting at 30/30 supply, as the Zealot now looks to deal a bit of damage. 1 drone will be able to escape away there, and now the Zealot is backing away. What is he going to scout out? He's going to scout out an additional base already established here, and now Adel's heart is perhaps going to sink a little bit. Now, Adel needs to counter this. He cannot allow the Zerg player to sit up on 3 bases before his opponent is even up on 2. There are 3 sentries down, and are we going to be going into perhaps Immortals? Sentry Immortal pushes are relatively strong, but all I see right now are additional gateways, even though the Cybernetics core is up and operational. A 2 base timing attack off of 6 or 7 gateways may just be enough to start breaking down what Sroof has developed. SrooF currently sitting on 38 drones, able to train up about, I would guesstimate, 32 to 34 drones a minute if left to go unchecked. That means in about another minute or so, he can hit full saturation on 3 bases, and then the Zerg engine may be too difficult to stop. We now already see sentries, a zealot, and some probes moving out. Gateway should be upgrading to Warp Gate in just a moment, and now pressure should be placed down. I am surprised that SrooF is not placing down spine crawlers at any of his base, instead simply going for roaches. Down over here, there is one probe, but some sentries, zealots, and stalkers are going to finish this up very easily. And I believe the Zerg player is just going to be expanding into his own death here. Here we have it. Force fields trapping one of the queens in a bad position as the drones are now backing away. Hatchery will get shut down here as SrooF perhaps in a little bit of trouble. He's going to be sitting on 2 bases, but he still does have a very good harvester advantage. Full saturation on 2 bases. Zerglings, and lots of them, are now being trained. This hatchery looks like it will get taken down in just a moment. Where are all of these Zerglings going? They're trying to all regroup off over here. It looks like the hatchery will be falling, but you got to remember this is majority sentries, as the sentries now getting surrounded by Zerglings. More units are now coming in. Stalkers, beautiful pocket protection here, as the Zerglings are unable to engage. Stalkers are here to reinforce, and Adel, even though he is behind in terms of the supply count, is taking a devastating, or is dealing a devastating blow to the Zerg player. SrooF perhaps expanding a bit too quickly. Wasn't expecting this many straight up stalkers and sentries, now dealing with so many warp gates of reinforcements. What are we going to have next? SrooF does still have that harvester advantage, but without any spine crawlers, I can't imagine him actually taking or holding this attack and this aggression. Here we go. Stalkers now coming in. There's the force fields. Drones coming off the mineral line. And as those force fields are placed down, those drones have nowhere to run. Adel is very liberal with these force fields though, and that means that those sentries will be out of energy here in just a moment. All Adel needs to do is perhaps walk in, force field the ramp, and cut off all the reinforcements. But what is this? A whole bunch of roaches are now being hatched. As now that we also have glial reconstitution, roaches now may need to engage. Are we going to see a force field? That is the question now. Queen's now trying to engage. There's some force fields. Force field on the ramp. Roaches unable to engage here. More roaches trying to hatch out. Some of the roaches are able to engage as the stalkers are still trying to fight this back. Back over here, SrooF is now down to 86 supply with 36 drones compared to 45, and it feels like Adel has dealt enough damage, now feeling very comfortable in terms of doing a retreat and a regroup. Now, Adel did a perfect read on what his opponent was doing, and now we see a large number of roaches. The problem is going to be how much damage are these roaches going to be able to do. Roaches very effective against Stalker Sentry, especially with Burrow, as we see here. As long as SrooF is able to play a game of whack-a-mole with his opponent, this is going to cause problems. SrooF now going to go ahead and take down some proxy pylons. Units are trying to reinforce here, but these roaches are regenerating 5 hit points a second while burrowed, and that means that in a matter of about 40 seconds, or not even 30 seconds, you nearly have full hit point roaches. So the time it takes to regenerate the hit points on a burrowed roach is about the same time it takes to construct and train a roach back from larva state. All right, Adel now going to be losing this proxy pylon here, but I cannot imagine SrooF is actually going to be foolish enough to try to walk up this ramp. One simple force field is going to change it all, as there is an observer in the air. SrooF now knows about it and now going to go ahead and try to engage, dealing some damage here. Those sentries are in the back. Is there going to be enough force fields? Catching them in a very bad position here. Actually a better concave by SrooF, but there we go. There's some force fields and the superior range of stalkers and sentries causing problems now. SrooF is going to be pulling back. Adel still complaining that there is a lot of lag, unfortunately, as we are now seeing Immortals being added. Immortals, just exactly what the doctor ordered for Adel. Adel should be able to utilize these Immortals and simply move out and clean up these roaches in just a moment. You also remember that there is an observer in the air to keep track of all these burrow roaches, as the roaches now testing up the waters, and they are going to be able to come in and simply walk in here. No, they are actually backing away, not realizing that they're getting flanked. Roaches now on the move. The Stalkers do not have blink, will not have blink at all, as the Roaches are getting picked off one at a time. The Roaches do have faster movement speed, but until they get on creep, that movement speed is not that big of a difference. Observer now on the move here. SrooF is still down. We can take a look at the total resources lost. Cancellation on those extractors once more, believing an attack is imminent. We do see infestors now being trained, and that's going to be 7 infestors with 7 fungal growths. That may be a problem here. Immortals now on the move. Stalkers, Immortals, Warp Prism actually warping in more units again, and that is a lot of Stalkers here, as all Adel is trying to do is limit the number of options that SrooF has. Harvester count is still 49 to 59. Another base being taken over here by SrooF, and that is going to be a good location, as a Warp Prism is going to be dropping straight up into the main base. There is a fungal growth. Are we going to perhaps get some infested Terrans? There is that phase mode, and that is going to be a problem as more fungal growths need to come in. Meanwhile, an attack in the front door going to cause problems once more, as the Roaches are trying to reinforce an attack in the front, attack in the back, and Adel is cleaning up much of what is going on here. Stalkers, sentries, as those as those infested Terrans are now being hatched here. Is it going to be enough? I believe that is going to be the GG, as SrooF pretty much expanded into his own death here against Adel. Game 1 in the series, Protoss versus Zerg. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed Game 1. Stay tuned for Game 2.